The first time she looked at me with tears in her eyes and quietly told me that her father wanted to see me, I thought she had mistaken me for someone else. I had spent years believing that one ordinary decision from my past had been forgotten by everyone except me. I had no idea that a single visit in broad daylight would uncover a truth hidden for years, heal wounds I never knew still existed, and change the direction of my life forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness always finds its way home, that forgiveness is stronger than regret, and that hope can change even the hardest hearts, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel to become part of our community that believes every act of compassion matters. It happened on a bright spring morning when the city was washed in soft golden sunlight. The sidewalks were busy with families, cyclists, and people carrying fresh flowers from the weekend market. I had just finished volunteering at a neighborhood food pantry, something I had quietly done every Saturday for years without expecting recognition. My life had become predictable after a difficult decade filled with disappointments. My small furniture repair shop earned enough to pay the bills, but not much more. Most evenings I returned to my modest apartment wondering if my best years had already passed. I had learned to accept that some dreams simply faded with time, and perhaps that was enough. As I locked the pantry door behind me, a young woman stepped out of a silver sedan parked across the street. She hesitated before walking toward me with careful determination. Her expression carried both nervousness and hope, as though she had rehearsed this moment many times. Her name was Claire Ashford, though I would only learn that a few minutes later. She carried an old leather folder against her chest, its edges worn by years of use. She stopped a few feet away, took a slow breath, and told me that her father wanted to see me. There was no explanation, no accusation, and no smile. Just those few unexpected words. My first instinct was confusion. I searched my memory for anyone connected to her face but found nothing familiar. I politely explained that she must have the wrong person. Instead of arguing, she opened the leather folder and carefully removed a faded photograph. The image showed a much younger version of myself standing beside an old pickup truck outside my repair shop nearly 15 years earlier. Next to me stood an elderly man with silver hair, smiling despite the bandage wrapped around one arm. The moment I saw the photograph, memories rushed back like a river breaking through a dam. 15 years earlier, during another bright afternoon, I had found that elderly man sitting alone on a bench outside my workshop. He looked exhausted and disoriented. His clothes were clean but worn, and he carried no wallet or phone. Most people walked past him without stopping, assuming someone else would help. Something told me to ask if he was all right. He admitted he had become confused while trying to return home after visiting the hospital. He remembered his first name, Arthur, but struggled to recall his address. Instead of calling authorities immediately, I invited him inside, offered lunch, and contacted the hospital listed on a paper tucked into his coat pocket. They eventually reached a relative who came to take him home. Before leaving, Arthur insisted on taking a photograph with me because, as he put it, good people deserve to be remembered. I accepted the picture without thinking much about it. Life became busy, and eventually the memory slipped quietly into the background. Claire explained that Arthur was her father. Shortly after that afternoon, his memory had continued to decline because of a neurological illness. Yet somehow, through years of confusion, he never forgot the man who had treated him with dignity instead of pity. Even when he could no longer recognize distant relatives, he often spoke about the stranger who shared a meal with him and reminded him that kindness still existed. He had kept that photograph beside his favorite chair every single day. As Claire shared the story, I felt something tighten inside my chest. I had always believed my small gesture had disappeared into the endless stream of ordinary days. Instead, it had become one of the final clear memories that Arthur carried throughout his illness. Claire admitted she had spent months searching for the person in the photograph after discovering my shop name written faintly on the back. The building had changed owners years ago, and several people had pointed her in different directions before she finally found me. She asked if I would visit her father. I agreed, though uncertainty lingered in my mind. Part of me feared that Arthur would not recognize me after all these years, and perhaps the visit would only disappoint everyone involved. The drive to his countryside home felt longer than it actually was. Bright fields stretched beneath clear blue skies, and wildflowers danced gently in the warm breeze. Claire spoke quietly about her father's life before illness changed everything. He had been a respected carpenter known for restoring historic homes with extraordinary craftsmanship. He believed that damaged things were not worthless. They simply required patience and careful hands. Listening to her, I realized how strangely similar his philosophy was to my own work repairing broken furniture. When we arrived, sunlight poured through the large windows of a cozy living room filled with handmade wooden shelves, carved chairs, and family photographs. Arthur sat near the window watching birds gather outside. His face had grown older, and his movements were slower, but there remained a quiet strength about him. Claire gently placed the old photograph into his hands before stepping back. For several silent moments he studied the picture. Then his eyes slowly lifted toward me. Confusion crossed his face, followed by recognition so genuine that tears filled his eyes. Without saying much, he reached for my hand and held it tightly. No elaborate explanation was needed. Sometimes gratitude speaks louder through silence than words ever could. During the following hours, something remarkable happened. Arthur shared stories that Claire had never heard before. Certain memories returned simply because one familiar face had reopened a forgotten door. He described childhood summers building birdhouses with his father, the first home he restored with his late wife, and the lessons he hoped future generations would remember. Claire quietly wiped away tears while writing everything into a notebook, realizing these precious memories might disappear again before long. Before I left that afternoon, Arthur carefully handed me a small wooden box he had crafted years earlier. Inside rested an old brass compass. Claire explained that her father had carried it through much of his working life because it reminded him that every craftsman needed direction, not perfection. Folded beneath the compass was a handwritten note prepared while his memory was still stronger. The note explained that if the man in the photograph was ever found, he wanted him to have the compass because he had helped him find his way home in more ways than one. I could barely hold back my emotions. For years I had quietly questioned whether anything I did truly mattered. My business struggled, relationships had faded, and loneliness often convinced me that I lived an ordinary life with little purpose. Yet here was undeniable proof that one afternoon of compassion had echoed across 15 years, giving comfort to an entire family. Over the next several months, I visited Arthur regularly during daylight hours. We spent afternoons restoring small wooden projects together whenever his strength allowed. Even on days when his memory faded, his hands somehow remembered the rhythm of sanding, carving, and polishing wood. Claire often joined us, and gradually our conversations moved beyond Arthur's illness. We discovered shared values, similar dreams, and the quiet understanding that grows only through genuine friendship. One afternoon Claire revealed something else that completely surprised me. Inspired by the story of the photograph, she wanted to transform her father's old workshop into a community space where retired craftsmen could teach practical skills to young people who lacked mentors. She admitted she could never accomplish it alone and wondered if I would help. The idea immediately touched my heart. Arthur had spent his life restoring buildings. Perhaps together we could continue restoring people. The renovation became a labor of love. Volunteers arrived from every corner of the town after hearing Arthur's story. Carpenters repaired beams. Painters refreshed faded walls. Gardeners filled the entrance with colorful flowers. Teenagers who had never held woodworking tools learned patiently from experienced hands. The workshop slowly transformed into a place where generations met not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Arthur witnessed the grand opening beneath warm afternoon sunshine. Although illness had taken many memories, he smiled with unmistakable pride as children laughed while building their first wooden projects. It was as though he understood that his life's work would continue long after he was gone. Several months later, Arthur peacefully passed away during a quiet afternoon surrounded by his family. Grief touched everyone who had known him, but so did gratitude. The workshop remained open exactly as he had hoped. His carved motto hung above the entrance for every visitor to read, "Broken things deserve another chance because so do people." Standing beneath that sign one sunny afternoon, I realized my own life had quietly transformed. I was no longer simply repairing furniture. I was helping rebuild confidence, purpose, and connection within an entire community. Claire remained by my side through every step, and together we discovered that the greatest relationships are often built not by dramatic beginnings, but by simple acts of kindness repeated over time. Before this story comes to an end, I would love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment telling us about a small act of kindness that changed your life or someone else's. Your story may inspire another person who needs hope today. As I still carry Arthur's old brass compass in my pocket, I am reminded that the most important directions in life are rarely found on maps. They are found in moments when we choose compassion over convenience, patience over judgment, and hope over despair. One ordinary afternoon, I believed I was simply helping a stranger find his way home. Years later, I discovered that he had unknowingly helped me find mine. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Thank you for being part of our community, where every story reminds us that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life forever.